where we believe that you can grow and be a millionaire in all 6 aspects of health. That's right, it's not just about being rich in the bank account, it's about being rich in life. We share tips every week to improve your physical, your intellectual, social, spiritual, financial, and this week we're going to focus on your mental health. Our episode is how to improve your mental health with poetry. So we brought 3 awesome guests out here to give you 3 awesome tips and come up with a daily challenge on how to improve your mental health with poetry. If you have never seen Millionaires Are Made before, this is the show built on the fundamental belief that every person you meet knows a little something you don't, and there's something to be learned from everyone in this big, beautiful world. It's an amazing day out here in St. Thomas. Can't wait to share with you guys about poetry. Gonna be an interesting episode. I'm excited for it. In the spirit of authenticity, to try to remove as much bias as possible or as much persuasion, I don't talk to my guests about the show at all. We talk about the schedule and the structure, but their tips, their advice that you're about to hear comes from their authentic journey, from their life, from their experiences. It has nothing to do. Some of them I've never even met before, and most of them I didn't even know were going to be on the show until they show up backstage. So we try to keep it as real as possible here. We want everyone, all perspectives across the world to come and share, and hopefully you will resonate very highly with maybe all the tips, or at least 1 or 2. Audience, thank you so much. We love you. We love having you. We need you, obviously, but we love seeing you guys grow. Awesome. Thank you so much for following us as well. Please, if you like this show, do the normal stuff. Subscribe, like, share, send stars. I don't remember all that other stuff. And I do want to take this moment to shout out some of our followers on Facebook. Thank you so much, Leslie Baker. You're awesome. Instagram, Riger, you're awesome. Thanks for following. On TikTok, Ladies of Praisal, and on YouTube, Jamie Cook. Thank you all so much for following us and checking us out and helping us grow. If you are currently watching this and want to be a guest, which the answer is yes, of course you do, and we already know that you have something to share, please sign up on the link being shared right now. Just click it, hit sign up. There's nothing committing. Just check out what our future episodes are, and I'm sure there's something that you want to share and help the world learn and grow. I know you got something to share, and I know you got something to tell, so please sign up. We love new guests. Anyone's welcome. We'll vet you and check you out, make sure you have a little bit of experience, but we'd love to have you. And if there's something in your life right now that you're having a little trouble with and you can't quite get through, maybe you're in a spiritual hump, maybe a social hump, maybe you feel stupid and you need your intellectual health to improve, shoot us a topic. Shoot us a reason, shoot us a why. We will go out and find 3 awesome guests that will hopefully give you some piece of advice that can help you get through that part and grow however you need to grow. And speaking of that, we are excited to announce that we are not far away from launching our Millionaires Are Made Health Growth Retreats. They're coming up soon. We will be starting with our spiritual health retreat. It's going to be like a 4-day boot camp. But the biggest thing is you're not going to just hear rah, rah, rah. We're going to give you actionable items and follow up to make sure that you are growing in your spiritual health. We're going to have experts on hand. It's going to be amazing and fun. Hopefully you'll be able to come up with one and come check it out. It's going to be a great time. We also have free coaching. I do growth consultations. If you ever want to talk one-on-one, I love giving back. So that link's being dropped right now. Feel free to sign up and let's have a chat. And without further ado, we do have to announce some of our sponsors. We've got some awesome sponsors today. We got Sarah Jones. Sarah, thank you so much for being a sponsor here. Sarah helps people master their personal and business finances to build stable foundations while she travels the U.S. with her husband in an RV. She does everything from an RV. She's debt-free. If you have financial health or any sort of crazy cool stories you want to hear, go check out Sarah. Her link's being dropped right now in the comments. Next up, we've got Craig Sakovsky. He's amazing. He's a human behaviorist and a mentor, and he helps entrepreneurs discover their true identity. Super smart guy. Speaking of intellectual health growing, man, 5 minutes with Craig is going to change your life a little bit. He helps entrepreneurs with their identity, purpose, and growth in business as well as in life. Next sponsor we've got is our Island Trail Adventures by Golly Prat. This is awesome. If you ever come to St. Thomas and you want a nice, easy little hike or a hard little hike, this guy hikes in Javianas. I'm not kidding you. He goes up hills like you might not be able to see it. That one right over there. He's an awesome hiker, great guy. Amazing amount of stories. You'll have a very nice hike. Come on down, check it out. Island Trail Adventures, Golly Prat. And last but not least, we've got Josh Perry, who is also on my board of directors and a co-host of this show. Josh is a big-time leader, inspiring tons of people to overcome challenges with determination, guiding them to reach their full potential and achieve greatness. Check him out below. And without further ado, I think it's time that we start learning. So we're going to bring out our first guest here, and we're going to ask a few questions about how to improve your mental health with poetry. So first up, we've got Mandy. Mandy, who are you?
Well, first off, I'm an artist. I've been painting for about 8 years now. But when I went through my divorce, I found creative writing to be a solstice for me, and I really enjoy that now. So I'm diving into the world of podcasting and writing and painting and just living more of a creative lifestyle. So that's me in a nutshell, I guess.
That's you in a nutshell. All right, well, let's get to the nitty-gritty then. If I wanted to improve my mental health with poetry, what tiny piece of advice would you give me?
Develop a daily practice. And I say that because if you're showing up for yourself every single day in a way that you enjoy, and you start your morning with something that you enjoy, you feel more grateful, you feel more connected to yourself, you feel more connected to your life in general, and you feel like you have more of a purpose. And so if you wake up every morning 30 minutes early and start writing, have a coffee, go sit outside while the sun is rising, your morning feels more fulfilled. You start your day off right.
Do you write poetry every morning?
I am more of like a journal writer. But sometimes I think it comes out very poetic. But I wouldn't say like poetry, like I wouldn't call myself a poet. I don't know if I would necessarily identify with that, but creative writing is definitely a thing. I like to use different journal prompts and then write on topics that are inspiring my soul. And I just kind of make up my own prompts, or I'll find some online and just kind of dig into things.
So every morning, your first 30 minutes is writing.
So what I like to do is I call it my coffee sunrise mornings. And so I'll go outside in the front yard with my dog, and I bring my coffee and my journal and some soft music. And I have a Spotify playlist that I listen to. It's called Coffee and Piano. And it's just a piano melody. And I just dig into my soul a little bit, and I write about the things that are on my mind. And sometimes it comes out very poetic, but other times it's just, God, life is hard sometimes, but here's what I'm doing to come through it. And I just kind of guide myself through my journal.
Great. Okay. Yeah. God, life is hard sometimes, and guide. Yeah. So journaling is super important. We do that a lot. Let me ask you: when you write your poetry, do you rhyme?
No. Usually it's like I forget the terms. I'm not a professional writer by any means, but I am picking it up as a hobby. But like when you repeat a certain phrase throughout the series of the writing, like
okay.
Right now, the one that I've been repeating is Marie Forleo's "Everything is Figure Outable," and so like I'll put in different parts in my journaling, like I've got this, and then I'll write into more things, and then I'll write, I've got this, and then I'll write into more things, and I've got this. So I'll repeat things as I go through
like
it.
A mantra.
Like a mantra for the day, and kind of just dig into each aspect where I'm like, this, it's almost like a repeating affirmation, if you will. So I don't know what the repeating term is called in poetry, but that's kind of how I approach it.
Awesome. Awesome. Where on your life journey did you learn this information?
Through my divorce, when I was going through all of that and getting accustomed to life as a single mom and, figuring everything out on my own, I decided that I needed to do more things for myself and figure out who the hell I was. So I just started waking up every morning because I enjoyed it and went outside with my coffee. And then I started adding music, and then I started adding journaling. And it was something that really helped me feel so grounded. My favorite too is to sit out on the grass so I can feel the earth below me. And that makes me feel so grounded. So I would say through my divorce, that would be where I found it.
All right. Big life change. And how long ago was that, may I ask?
2.5 years.
Okay. All right. And you've been doing it every day since?
Some days I miss it and some days I'm on the couch when I do it. But but it is something that when I don't do it, my life doesn't feel as purposeful. My day doesn't go as smooth. I've noticed a huge improvement in my overall attitude when I can do that first thing in the morning. I think Austin froze, guys. All right. Well, I guess I'll just carry on for just a second. Oh, there we go. Here's
sorry
Austin.
About that.
You are just fine. I was like, what do I do?
We're going to move on to our next guest, Travis.
Thanks, guys.
Hey, Travis, who are you?
I am Travis Servant Jr., also known as Travis J. the Poet. I wrote 2 books on addiction and mental health, poetry books. And I just want to help make a difference and show people that there's a way through poetry to, better your life and better your mentality.
All right. So you wrote poetry books about addiction.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll get more into that, actually. Let's ask a very pressing question here. If I wanted to improve my mental health with poetry, what piece of advice would you give me?
So what I do to help with my mental health, I write poetry. I don't rhyme. I heard you ask her the other way. I don't rhyme in my poetry, but I found that taking your feelings and putting them in a short little thing, I journal a lot every day. Every day I journal at nighttime. So I journal at night, and then sometimes my feelings, because I'm on medication for antidepressant, all that stuff. So I take that and I will put that into a poem. I'll journal, tell them how my day is, and I'll put that in a poem to help me better see the day, but also it's into something I can share with other people so they can read it. So whether you're writing or reading poetry for your mental health, it can really help because words have a bigger impact on us than we really think.
So let me ask you this then. Do you, how do I want to put this? All right, so you don't rhyme, but you do it every day, and you have published work, correct?
Yes.
Do you handwrite, or do you type up and journal via like a Word doc?
I handwrite. When I journal at nighttime, I do handwrite. But there are times during the day where I'm feeling something. I'll pop up my phone, pull the notepad open, and I'll write a poem right there. I'll be at work in the middle of my day, and I'm like, oh, I got an idea. Here, let's type it out real quick so the boss doesn't see, and then I'll move on. Because that right there, just doing that helps me get the feelings out there, but also in a form that's not like all this blah, 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 blah in a journal complaining. Does that make sense? You're not just complaining in your journal. You're putting it into a form where you can understand, and maybe you could share it with someone that's going through the same thing. I'm very belief in sharing. Sharing is caring. You know what I mean? Kind of with that.
I mean, sharing, storytelling is a huge part of being a human. All right, let me ask you something important, Travis. If I wanted to improve my mental health with poetry, what tiny piece of advice would you give me?
Like I was saying, try and journal, like journaling / poetry. Try and write every day. I mean, like Mandy was saying, I'm gonna touch on that too. Is every day practicing, but also to indulging. You know what I mean? It's not just about writing. It's not just about the writing the poetry. Find some books that excite you. You know, I don't have any off the top of my head or any sitting here next to me, but is poetry like Shakespeare is what got me into poetry. I love the way old poetry is. Do I write like that? No, I don't know. I haven't tried, but one day I want to, you know, but you know, it's the way it sounds, the way it comes off the tongue. And when you're reading it, you focus in on it like you do your phone, you know, take a moment, get into a book of poetry. And there's a lot of good poetry out there for mental health and anything you're going through, really.
I'm going to hold that question. Awesome.
Okay.
All right, Travis, well, where in your life journey did you learn this tip? Where did you start journaling? What happened?
Okay, so 2020, as we all know, COVID hit. And at that point, I was really like, oh, I work at Walmart. Everyone knows that. I was like, I'm going to be a manager like I've been my whole life, a manager everywhere. And 2020 hit, and I was like, I got more of a purpose than this. You know what I mean? I can do more. Not saying you don't have to work a job. We need money, okay? But I had more of a purpose, so I decided to write my poetry in a book when it comes to addiction, and then which is Shattered Thoughts of Addict's Mind. The link's in there. But also, too, I went on to a second book shortly after that, after 2020 hit, because I realized people need to hear stuff. I would read little memes, motivational memes on Facebook, and it'd give me like, it would brighten my day. It would make me feel so much better because I felt like someone wrote something that I was going through, you know, and that's what made me want to do it. Is right there is I guess the kind of social media blow up of 2020 of recovering out loud as well, because I'm a recovering addict, and then the men's mental health movement, because we have been told so long that, you know, you just go to work and you don't tell your feelings, just go to work. And that I knew that wasn't right. So that's what really kicked me into wanting to share everything.
I love it, Travis. Well, we're going to move on to our next guest. We'll bring you back out in the round robin here. We're going to say hi to Donna super fast. Hey, Donna.
Hey,
Who are
Austin.
you?
Good. Who am I? I spent most of my career as a host and interviewer on NPR stations, which was a lot of fun. A couple of years ago, I left radio. I still dabble in TV a little bit, but I left radio because I wanted to do something that I've been doing for almost 20 years, which is teaching people in classes how they can uncover their purpose. I think that's one of the most important things we can do in life. So I consult with congregations, with boards of directors. I'm working now with some doctors at a medical center, all trying to figure out what they have in common and how to uncover their purpose. Now, for this particular episode, talking about poetry, I wrote a book a couple of years ago that's a collection of motivational meditations, but they're really poetic. It's called Drive Time Meditations. It's on Amazon, and the recordings are on Substack, so anyone can approach them and access them at any time.
That's awesome. Very cool. Very cool. I have a big question to ask you, Donna.
What's that?
If I wanted to improve my mental health with poetry, what tiny piece of advice would you give me?
I would say find the fun in poetry and write a poem yourself. And the reason I say that, well, first of all, I have to mention poetry, when we read it or when we write it, it automatically lowers our blood pressure because it lets us escape. We go to some place we're not normally. We let go of things that are bugging us and things that kind of take up space in our heads and in our hearts. So it's a healthy thing for our minds and for our bodies to pursue either taking in or exuding poetry. Either way you look at that, it's good for us. We've all been to those poetry slams where the poetry was really boring. And that's why I say have fun with poetry, because it doesn't have to be a boring thing at all. And I'm so glad that you're asking us all about whether we write poetry that rhymes. It certainly doesn't have to rhyme ever. People who are into poetry know that there's no particular format. You can just write free form and be poetic. That's a normal and healthy way to approach it. You don't have to study it. You don't have to know a format at all. And that's the other component, I would say, of my advice, of my tip. In addition to finding the fun in poetry and trying your hand at it, at writing it, try to live a poetic life. See if you can determine what a poetic life means and live it.
Well, I kind of want to ask you that, but we'll talk about that in the round
Okay.
robin, what a poetic life is. One last question for you, Donna. Where
Yeah.
on your life journey did you learn this tip?
I always had books around the house as a child, from childhood. There were always books around the house that were age appropriate, that had essays and a lot of poems in them. So I was always intrigued by those poems. Some of them rhymed and some of them didn't, but I thought they were all very cool. When I was a teen, I was introduced to the work of Langston Hughes. He wrote prose, but he also wrote some very important social poetry. I was so intrigued by his story that I started digging in a little bit more into what poetry can be. And then as a young adult, I visited a town in Massachusetts called Concord. There were so many poets and writers who lived within a block of each other in a couple of different eras. The Alcotts, Ellery Channing, Walt Whitman, they all lived, Henry David Thoreau, all lived within walking distance of each other. They were all creative. A lot of them pursued poetry. And I realized there's something in the water there. There's something about a community of poets and a community of writers that's very healthy. So the more I looked into poetry, the more I appreciated its possibilities, learned a little bit from it, and wanted to be a part of it.
I love it. Awesome. Thank you so much, Donna. Are we ready to bring out some other guests and have some talks?
Yeah, let's do it.
So we had a couple things come up. Dang, we got too much. All right, let's see if we can start with this. First off, I get to speak. This is probably, so we plan these shows like months in advance, right? So this topic was probably planned out, I don't know, maybe 3 months ago, maybe 4 months ago, something like that. And it's been happening like the last 3 weeks where crazy stuff has happened that relates to the topic. Like we did an astrology episode, and the night before I went to a Virgo full moon party. It's kind of wild. But probably about 10 days ago, I went to a poetry slam, probably the second time in the last year on this island that I've done that. And it inspired me, and I wrote my first poem, first like real poem. I've written poems for like my mom when I was 8 and stuff for her birthday. But I wrote a poem that's cool, but I'm not going to share it anytime soon. But just wanted to put that out there. It's like 4 pages long. I was super inspired. So it was cool when I saw this episode come up, and I was like, wow, I just wrote my first poem like a week ago. That's awesome. But let's go back to, and by the way, mine rhymes every 2 lines. Just to put that out there for when I do publish it at some point in my life. Let's talk about, Donna brought up something. We do have a question from the audience, but first let's bring up what Donna brought up. Live a poetic life. What does that mean to you guys? Let's start with Mandy, and then we'll do Travis, and then we'll have Donna finish it up too.
So one of my favorite books is Elizabeth Gilbert's Big Magic. I actually have it right here on my desk. It is so fantastic, but she talks about living a creative life. And I think as a poet, as an artist, as any kind of art that you follow, I think embodying that, it took me a long time to identify as an artist. And I think if you want to live a poetic life, identify as a poet. Dig more into the things that you want to do and like embrace it. If you don't embrace it and you're like, oh yeah, I'm an artist, but I never paint. I guess you can still always be an artist that never paints. You can always be a poet that never writes, but are you living to your fullest potential? Like step out of your comfort zone a little bit and dig into it a little bit more. Embrace who you are, embrace who you want to be, and challenge yourself a little bit more to grow.
Wow. Well, I like that you had that prepared, Mandy. Well,
I didn't have that prepared. I pulled that out of nowhere.
Well, I love that. At least you had the book prepared. You knew something.
It's one of my favorites.
It's even better that it was ad-libbed or improv. That means that the show is doing what it needs to do. Oh my goodness. Travis, let's hear what your thoughts are.
When I hear that, it is what I'm really working on right now is living in the moment, quit worrying about the past, don't stress about the anxiety of the future is really, to me, living a poetic life would be just living in the moment, enjoying everything. I mean, I have kids. I have a family. Sometimes I get carried away in the work and I get lost and I'm too worried about the writing when really I need to live in the moment. So to me, the poetic life is just living in the moment and enjoying it, because you never know when our time's up. I've had a lot of deaths around me. So living in the moment is something I practice every day. So to me, my poetic life would be that.
And Donna, let's wrap that
Yeah.
up.
Well, the reason that phrase came to me, of course, I'd heard the phrase live a poetic life before, but it really hit me about 10 years ago. I heard a news story about a guy who was in the reserves. He was a school teacher, but was in the reserves, and he was called up to service, I think maybe in Afghanistan. And we had a recording of him in the final moments with his class in the elementary school, where he was saying goodbye to them. And the very last thing he said to them was, live poetic lives. And I thought, what a thing to say to young kids and have them try to carry that out. And what a thing, as Travis, as you said, you just never know what's next. This guy was going off to war, and those were his final words to the kids that he loved and cared for. He was thinking of them, but he was also thinking of who knows what might come next for him. So that really hit me hard when he said that, and I've remembered it for all these years. And I think, Mandy and Travis, you're both right. It's seeing the beauty. It's seeing the finality of things, that you never know if you'll pass this way again. And it's just living in the moment and stopping to smell the roses, that kind of thing. Seeing things as you don't usually see them. Get out of your own way, get out of your routine, and have a new, fresh perspective.
Awesome. I think you guys answered that pretty perfectly. We are now going to answer a question from the audience. We had two. Are you guys familiar with Shayari?
No.
I can answer that very quickly. I'm not.
No.
No, me neither.
Okay, this one is spelling it a little different. Are you guys into Sharari?
So this apparently is something we need to learn about.
Yeah,
It is.
I
Keep
knew
asking.
You could have prepped that. Jesus, man. All right, able and dominating. Apparently, they are not.
No.
All right, well, let's see if we can do a little daily challenge here. So we need to come up with something that takes less than 5 minutes, costs $0, is available to anyone in the world, from Trinidad and Tobago to the British Empire, which is all over the world, that helps people improve their mental health with poetry. What are your thoughts?
I think of affirmations,
Yeah.
like having a daily affirmation. Either you write it on a Post-it note and stick it on your bathroom mirror, or you share it with someone. If you have a stack of Post-it notes around and you just keep it in your pocket and a Sharpie, and you just leave a Post-it note on a stranger's car. That's a beautiful way to share some positive.
That changed it. That was cool.
Well, 'cause
Travis,
my
what were
dad
you
was-
thinking?
Similar to the affirmations, I write every day, like affirmations, but mainly just writing every day and getting your feelings out there. Just get a journal, get a pen, and write it down. Whether you're writing poetry or not, get it out there, and just to get it out of you. Sorry, if you don't have a lot of outlets to get it out, journal it. Journal every day. It doesn't have to be poetry, but write every day and it'll help.
I would
Any
say
additions, Donna?
if you're not familiar with any kind of poetry and wonder what kind might suit you, there are poetryfoundation.org, lots of other websites that have different kinds of poetry, so you can explore a little bit. But I think the daily challenge should be define what it means to you to live a poetic life, and then do it for one day, for 1 week. Go for it.
I like
All right, we've got one last question, and then we're going to wrap it up here. What's the best way to just start writing poetry if you've never done it before?
That's easy. Just start writing poetry.
Yeah.
He answered
One
his
line
own
at a
question.
time.
Yeah.
Yep. Just start.
I actually really like a daily challenge. I think we're just going to steal Mandy's. So let's try to hone it in on poetry and mental health, right? So I think, man, if you everyone has a piece of paper and a pen or an envelope they're not using, some paper, something positive, writing and putting it somewhere out into the world. Great challenge.
Well, and I think too, the energy you put out into the world is the energy you receive in return. So if you want more good things to happen to you in life, put out more good things into the world. And if you leave a sticky note on someone's car with a positive message, you can make it as poetic as you want, make it rhyme, cool. Or it doesn't have to, just you've got this, put it on someone's car. You'll start to feel more gratitude for your life, and you'll start to feel that energy coming back to you.
Totally agree with you. Can't top that.
And you never know what that person you're putting. You may think you're helping yourself by doing that, but you may be helping that person not commit suicide that day. Let's just, I'm being honest, 100%. I've had that happen. I put a poem out and someone's like, I was going to end it today and I didn't. Thank you. So that right there could save someone else too.
All right, I think that's a freaking awesome one. So here's going to be our official daily challenge. You're going to write a 2-line or less poem. So if you want to, you can write 2 lines and make them rhyme if you're crazy, if you're feeling a little crazy. And you're going to put it in a public place. So whether it's a sticky note on someone's car in a parking lot, or you just have a scratch piece of paper that you write 2 lines of positivity and you stick it on a checkout counter at a convenience store or a gas station. We're going to work on writing 2 lines or less and putting it in a public space. You can do it anonymous. You can put your Insta handle, however you feel comfortable. But with this one I like, we're not going to put it digital. We're going to make it be a real piece of paper into a real place. No, sorry, audience, we're not doing this on Facebook. This one we're going to be real. If you want to put on Facebook, take a picture of where you left it, and then you can share it on Facebook. And we do have our group. We're going to make sure we challenge it. So I'll take a picture to hold myself accountable. But I think that's a really cool challenge. Add a little poetry, and mine are all going to be 2-liners that rhyme. And I'm going to go write them. As soon as we're done with this, I'm going to go write them and have them in my car ready to go. And I'm just going to start sliding them all over. This is a challenge that I might turn into my permanent routine. I mean, there is no negative thing that can come from that other than maybe a tiny bit of litter. Hopefully someone will throw it away after that. Yeah, wow, guys, that's awesome. Thank you so much. Are you guys happy with that as our daily challenge?
I'm thrilled with it.
Yeah, actually, I guess if you post it on Facebook, that's pretty cool too. I'm going to do it physical, though. I think physical is better. But I guess if you comment on maybe someone's post a little cute rhyme, that's pretty cool too. I could see that.
It is, but if you think about it, if we all get involved in our communities, then we're spreading good things all around the world in our own communities,
Yeah.
Yeah, so
So
I guess if you
Facebook
have,
is cool, but
if you have a reason or whatever, if you want to make an excuse to yourself on not being able to do it physically, go ahead and just maybe do 3 or 4 random people's posts and just add a little poetry to them in the comments. I like that too. That's kind of fun.
there's no wrong way to do it.
Yeah.
I got 5 minutes to do this, man. I could drop one off, write one, and do like 3 Facebook comments.
Yeah.
Easy.
Exactly. Yeah. And that energy is coming back to you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm excited for this. This was a great one. Awesome, guys. Well, thank you so much. We did what we needed to do. We got 3 awesome tips from you. We got a sweet challenge for our audience and you guys and me so that we can go improve our mental health with poetry over the next week. Thank you guys for being guests. I'm going to put you backstage and wrap it up. And thank you so much for watching another episode of Millionaires Are Made. Hopefully you had an awesome time and learned a little bit on how to improve that mental health with poetry. Poetry is something that's been around for pretty much ever. When you're younger, maybe you thought it was lame or nerdy, but now you're learning that there's a little secret sauce to it. Our challenge is to go and write 2 lines or less that may or may not rhyme and spread them out in public. Write it down on a scratch piece of paper, put it somewhere public, and let someone else find it and make their day.